Hello, today we're going to talk about fractions when you are naming the parts of a set. The first thing you need to do is divide your notebook into 4 sections like I've shown here. The first section we're going to work on is this one right here. Okay, so this is just a quick refresher about the parts of a fraction. Let's say we're working with the fraction 6/8. This top part is called the numerator, and it represents the part that it's asking you for. It might ask you for the part that's shaded, the part that's not shaded, the part that's green, the part that's red, whichever part it's talking about, that is your numerator. The bottom number is called your denominator. This one represents the whole. How many total pieces are in the set or the whole that you're talking about? Okay, so your notes should look like this. Again, this was just a quick refresher on the vocabulary. Now we're going to work on this section here. So like I said, we're going to be working with parts of a set. The difference between a set and a whole is that in a whole you have just one figure broken up into pieces. When we're talking about a set, we have multiple figures that are all different. So the first thing we're going to use is color tiles. Okay, so here I have my color tiles. Make sure you draw these on your paper. You can just draw squares and then label them with a G for green and a B for blue. So now I want to see the fraction. The first thing I want is the fraction for green. So take a moment to look at your set and decide how many pieces there are total and how many of those are green. Go ahead and write your fraction for green. Pause the video so you can write it and then play it so that you can check to see if you're right. Okay, so if we look at our tiles, I have 3 of them that are green out of 6 that are total in the set. So the fraction for green is 3 out of 6, or 3/6. Now I want to see the fraction that is not green. So if I look at my tiles, I can see that 3 of them are not green because they're blue. So write your fraction for the tiles that are not green. You should have written 3/6 because there are 3 blue, which means they are not green, and we still have 6 total squares. So if you look at the fraction that is green, I have 3, and the fraction that is not green, I have another 3. If I put those two fractions together, it gives me the total of 6, which tells me that my fractions are correct. So now your notebook should look like this, and now we're going to work in this section right here. So now I'm going to use my 2-sided counters. Okay, so as you can see here, I have my counters. Again, draw these in your notebook, and we're going to label them by their color. This first one will have a W for white, then an R for red, an R for red, and another R for red. Now take a look at the counters and write the fraction that represents the red. Again, make sure you look at your total and make sure you look at how many represent the part I'm asking for, which is red. Pause the video and then play it to check if you were correct. Okay, so if you already wrote your fraction for red, I can see here that 3 of the counters are red out of 4 that I have total. So the fraction for red is 3/4. Now I want to know what fraction of the counters are not red. So the other color I have is white. So make sure you look at that and write your fraction of the counters that are not red. Okay, you should have written your fraction already. If I look at my picture, I see that 1 of the counters is not red because it's white. Therefore, 1/4 of the counters are not red. Again, if I look and I have 3 that are red, 1 that is not, 3 plus 1 equals 4. So that means I have taken into account all the counters, and that's how I can check that I'm correct when it's asking me for one thing and then what is not that thing. Your notes should look like this, and now we're going to get ready to work on the last piece of your notebook. Okay, here we're going to look at our pattern blocks. Okay, so here I have my different pattern blocks. I have my yellow hexagon, my blue rhombus, and my orange square. So now I'm going to look at the fraction that are hexagons. So look at your figures and write your fraction for the hexagons. Make sure again you pay attention to how many pieces there are for the whole and how many pieces are for what I'm asking you, which is the hexagons. Okay, you should have had your fraction written. I can see that one of the shapes is a hexagon, and I have 6 shapes total. Therefore, 1/6 is a hexagon. Okay, now I want the fraction that are not hexagons. So all the rest of the figures are not hexagons. Write your fraction for the ones that are not hexagons. All right, if I look at my shapes, I can see that I have 3 rhombus and 2 squares. That makes 5 out of the 6 shapes not hexagons. So 5/6. Again, if I look at my 1 hexagon plus my 5 that are not hexagon, that gives me the total. Okay, so your notes should look like this. Remember that this is the part of a set. We have individual different figures or shapes, and we're looking at the fraction for different parts of it. Make sure you have everything ready and that you answer your question and are ready to discuss. Bye.